Hello guys, welcome to Skylumen largest throwers review ever. There are a ton of lights on the table. I'm bound to make mistakes along the way. There's no way I can do a ton of takes. So, just gonna have to bear with me here. I'm gonna be making mistakes, but that's just gonna be how it is, alright? So, what's the primary reasons to bring out all of these throwers at the same time to make this review? The biggest question that I have most of the time is what's the best thrower? There's really no single best thrower that does everything. There are throwers that have the best numbers, throw values, but then they're impractical for most purposes. So after I go through most of the lights, talk a little bit about each, and then I will hopefully draw out 3 or 4 that I think are best all-arounder. How's that? Okay? Okay, so let's talk about methods of measurements and all the numbers so that we actually have a relatively acceptable values for each, okay? Here's what I do. I have here in my hand a Phoenix TK16 factory light, 100% factory. The reason that I'm picking Phoenix is because Phoenix tends to measure their numbers right on the spot, and they don't over-exaggerate and they don't underestimate either. They're usually just spot on. And the Phoenix TK16 here is exactly 1000 lumen out the front, ANSI standard, which means measured at 30 seconds. Which all of these lights, all of the values that I'm giving you today will be ANSI standard, measured at 30 seconds. So the numbers will be quite a bit lower than initial start on. The reason being is because most of these lights do have a linear circuit, direct driven on highest mode. So initial turn on is extremely bright, but it does drop quite a bit. Maybe 10, 15%, maybe 10% after, that's a while I guess, after the first 30 seconds. After that, it doesn't drop so much. But so just get that out of the way. The numbers here that I'm giving you guys will be quite a bit lower than max value. Phoenix TK16 measured at 1000 lumen and 19,000 K lux, all right? A very nice, respectable light, okay? All right, so let's see where we should start. There's a lot of things to talk about. This is going to be very, very hard. All right, let's talk about what I actually use to measure these numbers. Okay, here I have an integrating sphere. This one is made by member JM Paul 320 on Canopow forums. Possibly just a beach ball that he had painted white on the inside, and then paper mache over the ball, and then paints it white on the inside with a light meter attached to it. Here's the lux reader. And here I get a value. Once I get a value, I coincidentally, because I'm using this light right here as the multiplier, 1000 lumen measure 70 lux. So there you go. I have a multiplier of 7. Divide everything, get a reading, multiply it by 10 or by 100, whatever the multiplier on the lux meter is, and then divide that by 7. I'll have my lumen value. So as you can tell, this is not industrial spec or anything. So, but it's pretty good. It's good at repeating relative numbers. So I trust it very much, okay? And for what it's worth, take all the numbers that I'm presenting today as relative values and not absolute values. They're not exactly correct, but they're correct among these lights. So if this one is 1000 lumen and if this one is 1200 lumen, you can say that this one is 20% brighter. Not exactly that this one is exactly 1000 lumen by industry standards, all right? But close enough for all relative comparison purposes. And that's what matters most, relative values. I have to stress that over and over again so you guys don't go nuts and say, how come that light is not as bright as factory claim or whatever, or seems much brighter. It's just whatever I measure is what I report, exactly at 30 seconds, all right? So that's for lumen measurements. Lux is a little bit more simple. Same kind of a deal, a lux meter. I always stage I stage the meter at the end of a hallway, 7.5 meters in distance, all right? Shoot the beam across into this light meter here, get the highest reading after 30 seconds, of course, and then do some math, get you a lux number, and then more math to meters, to a distance, throw. So that's that, all right. So that's how we acquire all the numbers. There's a ton of lights here. If you're here watching this video, chances are you are looking at the list with all the numbers already. Okay? There's really no point in me going across and naming out every single light and reading repetitively, reading all the numbers that you guys already have here on the pad. However, I'm going to use this pad here with all the values and help select the ones that I think that really stand out. And some of the options here are not, some of the LED combinations in these lights are not actually recommended. And I should have went with something else. And I'll go through all of them. I'll talk a little bit about all of them, and let's just do it now. Talk too much. All right, DefX. This light right here is still the best thrower, okay? I measured it at 871,000 lux, which comes out to be 1870 meters, 1870 meters, which is astounding. Still class leading, aspheric only, so it throws a square hotspot way down. I love this light. I think it's a marvel of an achievement. The only thing that I don't like is the very, very green tint and the extremely narrow focus. But it's a great light. Very expensive. I don't think, I think the member that made this is Save Buster. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sorry. Measured 414 lumen. Not a lot of lumen, but then it's only because the light is only focused down to the square die, and that's the only part that gets measured. And so 414 lumen is not bad. All right, light's about $1,000. Not made by me again. It's made by Saber Buster, and yeah, it's discontinued. So I don't think you can buy it anymore even. So that's still currently the farthest throwing aspheric flashlight or LED flashlight for all that I know of. Okay. Next up, we have the TM36. This one is worth to talk about is because it's the furthest LED with a reflector, a thrower that I know of and that I make, okay? So this is mine, and this one comes out to be 731K lux, all right? Disregard all the numbers you've ever heard from any of these lights. Just concentrate on the numbers today because I measured them all at the same time. Same everything, room temperature, humidity, every single thing that you can think of. I measured them all exactly the same time with all fresh batteries. So all the numbers are relative. So 870 K lux, 731 K lux, all right? That's a difference of about 150 meters in throw. So, which is, I think, is pretty good with a reflector base. So now you have a more conventional beam, very tight hotspot, but with some corona around it, and very conventional beam. And I love this light a lot. Unfortunately, it too is very expensive at $615. Okay, still in production. So those two lights win the Throw King category, one for aspheric and the other for reflector. Okay, now let's talk about some notable throwers. Here we go. We have the XM18 here. According to my list here, the XM18 is in 5th place in terms of throw. So I measured 1,500 meters of throw. 1,500 meters of throw is actually very good. What's 1,500 meters of throw? 582 K lux. 582 K lux. That's like 600 K lux for a really massive output light. I'm claiming that this light's putting out 50,000 lumen. I think it might mix a little more, but it doesn't matter. At least 50,000 lumen. There's no way for me to measure. As you can see, the light itself is the frontal area of the output of the light is larger than the opening cut of my integrating sphere. So there's no way I can measure the output, obviously. You're gonna need a really big sphere to put this thing in, and I just don't have that. Okay, so 50,000 lumen, okay, 600 K lux, about there, and that's very, very impressive. Okay. Unfortunately, you guys see here, I accidentally, this is kind of a prototype, so I haven't gotten the switching mechanism all sorted out. So the switch was accidentally bumped in the carrying case. The light turned on and melted the front of the glass, as you can see here. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. You can't get any more parts for it. So I'm thinking maybe toss this plexiglass and put real heat strength glass around it, custom cut, and just get even maybe more output, since the glass should be clear. All right, so among all of these throwers, right, here's what I think really stand out. K70VN, SR96, SR95, okay, the T6, K40S, the RC40VNT. And for the sake of it, let's not even focus on the two highest, DefX and TM36. The reason being is because they're extremely dedicated focus thrower. They're the best at what they are. They automatically win. So let's not even talk about them. Okay. We have here the K60. All right. MX25L4 VNT. All right. Okay, so this is a Surefire Z6VN with a P60VN, XPG2 PDT, and driver VN2. All right, so it's basically a P60 Lite with a XPG2 thrower drop-in and a D25CVN. Of all the lights on the table, let's add this M30C2VN. Damn it. If we add that, we gotta add this one too. So, let's see if I'm missing anything. This is tough. This is not easy. Okay, so for all the lights here that you see here, right? I think these are the best of the throwers. We kind of need a tactical size one. Yeah, that one. That one's perfect. Okay. So why did I select these lights? I think they're the best thrower in their respective size and with the value consideration. Okay. The D25C here throw what? 22K lux. Yes, 22K lux doesn't sound insane, but think about this. You have a relatively larger factory TK16 that throws out 19K lux that I measured. That one throw out 22. So this little DC25VN is a lot smaller. It has more throw. What else can you ask for a tiny little light like that? It's the best thrower in that size that I make. So that's definitely takes their spot. All right. And one of the surprises is the regular P60VN XPG2 PDT thrower. It throws better than the TK09. It slots right. It's just slightly behind the dedicated TX25C2VN. And that's amazing. And a P60, everybody, in my opinion, everybody should have a P60 host. It's just fun. It's just cool. You're not a fashionaholic until you have a P60 host where you can do all the Legoing. And it's amazing how a regular P60 host drop-in can throw that close to all of these throwers over here. The reason I'm picking the G25C2VN as a contender here is because it's a tactical light. It's a very, very good tactical light, all well built all around. And what does it throw? I remember it throws a pretty impressive. It has pretty impressive numbers. Near the end here. Okay, so this light right here makes 1260 lumen, and it throws 100K lux. 100K lux is astounding. That's this. Remember the SR90? This size of a light only throw about 100K lux, and this thing here now throw 100K lux, making 1250 lumen. So that is really, really impressive. XPL PDT. All right. And it's not even a tight hotspot. You get a relatively good sized hotspot for a tactical light. You can mount it on a rifle, use it with a gun, wear it on your holster, on your belt. With that much output, that much throw in that package, that's amazing. All right. The biggest reason now I'm picking this light right here, the M30 CVN, is because it's basically a single 18650 light with 3 emitters and 3 individual reflectors. 3 individual reflectors makes a perfect beam, and it throws extremely well. How good does it throw? Okay. Oh man, this is hard. There's so many freaking numbers. Okay, so this one throws 155K lux at 1500 lumen out the front with XPG2's PDTs. So 150k lux from a single 18650 putting out 1500 lumen is very respectable, and I like it a lot. I think it's just possibly the leading single 18650 light. This light is a brand new light. The MX25L4 VNT has 4 XPL PDT within individual reflectors, driver VN. So yeah, this one is highly recommended. As a matter of, we'll get to there, but you can see that I'm very highly favoring this one as a winner. Okay, K70 VN. There's no doubt that this light deserves the top, among the top spots here, putting out almost close to 2500 lumen and 585k lux. All right, this light makes it here. I don't quite like this light, but a lot of people does, and I guess it's because it's a single 18650 light and it puts out 300k lux, and that's very respectable. Okay, so that's why it's here, although I don't like it all that much because due to the awkward size and shape. Here we have the SR95. Why is this light here? This is a brand new release. It's not even on Skylumen yet, but it's here because we have a lot of very tiny hotspot dedicated thrower that somewhat very particular to what their uses. But this one right here has a very nice battery pack, puts out what? Puts out 1600 lumen, 1642 lumen. So basically 1650 lumen out the front. And that is a lot for a single XPL, which doesn't heat up the light all that much. With this much mass in an XPL, very heavily driven, the light takes the heat fine. And it's a perfect searchlight because it puts out that much output. And look at the throw here. I wish I memorized all the numbers so I don't have to do this, but I have to, I'm sorry. It puts out 306k lux. So 306k lux and 300k lux, 360k lux. Relatively, these two throws are about the same, but this was done with an XPG2, a tiny little LED. This is done with an XPL, so you have a lot more output, a lot more mass. This is a true long run time searchlight, and I really think it deserves the spot of a practical searchlight. Okay, not like in practical in terms of max output. All of these lights are practical. Some people think that my lights are not practical because it runs too hot on turbo. We're pushing boundaries. It's supposed to be hot on the turbo level, but then there are tons of other lower levels to tame the output. So in my opinion, if you have multiple levels, all lights are practical. However, this light is extra practical because it can maintain max output for a really long time on turbo without the light overheating for search purposes. All right, that's why it made it here. T6VN, no need to say more about this light. It's just one of the most popular light in recent days. Massive amount of output, 5,150 lumen and 400k lux approximately. So with 400k lux and 5,000 lumen, there's nothing to say. And with that size, obviously, this one is going to be a big contender. K40S. All right, so K40S here. This one has an XPG2 PDT and 900 lumen, and it put out a relatively astounding 461k lux. 461k lux. 400k lux, 461k lux. So it didn't even throw it with a single tiny little XPG LED. It puts out 60k lux more than this massive 5,000 lumen output. So yes, this is a pencil beam dedicated thrower, but look at the size. It's ideal. The UI is perfect. That is a very good dedicated thrower for the money. It has to be there. RC40 VNT. Yep, this light has to be here too because it puts out 7,100 lumen. Okay, and most lights, when you get to 7,100 lumen, they're not throwers, they're flutters. All right, and this one putting out 7,100 lumen puts out 478k lux, so close to 500k lux, putting out over 7,000 lumen at 30 seconds. So yes, there are no other throwers that put out that much lumen and throw that much in this size. All right, so it has to be here. It's basically throw as much as the huge 50,000 lumen XM 18VN50. So it has to be there. The K60 VN shaved dome here made it here because you got to see the the output number on this. It's just astounding. From a single XHP70 shaved dome, I got